Hi everyone, Toride, another fine day. The goal every day now for do something we go help our community. The goal every day, now for talk to people. We I strongly believe that they get information we our community need them. The goal every day now for meet up these people, not just celebrate them, but make sure so we squeeze every juice where they get them. Welcome to Toride, boss.
Oh, thank you very
Finally,
much, bro. Finally.
How far?
No, I didn't find no after you.
Wow. I'm glad to have you here. Me know you don't talk back and forth, and um, welcome to Toride. Yeah, no, trust me, you don't know how happy I am to have you sitting there, and because I know when me and you talk, listening to you talk, the knowledge you have, the passion you have, the like what the plans you have for our community, especially the kids. I've been waiting for this day to have you on the seat and ask you some few questions.
Oh.
Now, I know so many people know you, but for the few who don't know you, tell us a little bit about your name and where you're from.
Oh, my name is Roland Chibefu. I'm originally born in Cameroon, northwest from Bafut originally, right? I lived and worked in South Africa, currently live and work in the United States of America.
Wow. What is your background, work?
Well, I'm in IT, right? By ability, I've spent most of my career within three disciplines. That's education, skills development, you know, and of course, information technology.
So within these three disciplines, which one do you pay more attention to?
They're all interconnected, right? Because of the fact that the world is changing so fast, and for countries and even families and kids to be ready for the world of tomorrow, you know, even governments, you know, in order to be able to ensure that the workforce that is coming out of the education system is able to meet the demands of the labor force in future in its skills development. Now, what is driving this change? This change is being driven a lot by IT, right? And of course, how do you fix this problem? You got to fix the educational system, so you really cannot separate them.
IT. What comes to your mind? Like, because for me, when they mention IT, the first thing that comes to my mind is the money that people make. But when you think about IT, what comes to your mind?
What comes to my mind is the fourth industrial revolution. You remember when we were at school, we learned about the first industrial revolution, about the steam engine, the second industrial revolution driven by oil, the third industrial revolution, you know, with code and computers. And there's a new revolution going on now. It's not actually new, it's been going on for a while. The challenge is a lot of people, you know, are not aware of it, especially parents. So IT is being driven by IT a lot, if I could call it that, you know, keeping it simple. And what I simply mean is that there's a lot of the way in which we as human beings interact with machines is very different now, you know. In the near future, and even in some places already now, you would realize that people meet their future spouses on Snapchat, right? Snapchat. That's IT, right?
Yeah.
You know of the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg announced it. It's now reality. You just go to Walmart, buy an Oculus, put it on your head, and you're right inside there. You can shop, you can go to concerts, you can do whatever. So they would go on a date in the Oculus. That's IT, you know. Tomorrow they get married. Their kids will be driven to school by driverless cars. Well, that's IT software, right? They're sick tomorrow. They go to the hospital tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit different. Doctors will be assisted by robots, you know, driven by AI, artificial intelligence. That's IT, you know. And those cars will be driven to school, you know, nobody inside there, and they're peacefully asleep, you know, knowing that their kids will be dropped at school by a car without a driver, you know. And if you think about all of that, you know, even their refrigerator, you know, we call it the Internet of Things, right? You know, the refrigerator would be able to, you know, look at the milk and tell how much is left in the family household and place an order directly at Walmart, and they will just come back and find in front of the door, right?
Wow.
So if you look at all of this, these are changes that are happening that are affecting every fabric of society. So definitely, this is the kind of change that has not happened before, the way we interact with machines. And that's what we call the fourth industrial revolution. So that's really where I talk about IT a lot. And the reason why, for me, it's extremely important, especially for our community and for parents, is because a lot of parents don't know that the educational system is trying to play catch up. No curriculum in the world is ready for this kind of change. So parents have to be able to make the decision to be more involved in how their kids are being brought up, and not just leave it to educational system. After school programs where kids are able to get prepared for this future. Otherwise, what would happen is your kid would live in a world and work in a world where they might just fall behind simply because you did not make the right decisions early to get them on the right path.
What do you think can be the right decision at this point?
Well, the right decision at this point, number one, is being an involved parent, and loving your kids. And when I talk about love for your kids, I'm not talking about providing for them. That's your duty. That's not love. You're supposed to provide for your kids. You're supposed to do all of those things. But go beyond and out and say, okay, as a parent, I understand that these whole changes are happening. I mean, in our time now, a lot of people are changing careers into IT. If that is happening, what about the kids? What world would they live in? So as a parent, what can I do today in order to ensure that my kid is not left out, regardless of what they're studying at school? Wow. So I'm talking after school programs, right? Learn coding early, get them into boot camps and so on and so forth, so that they become part of this ecosystem early. That is very important because regardless of what your kid becomes tomorrow, if they choose to become a medical doctor, for example, they are going to be a doctor that works in an environment where AI is helping them out.
That's true.
They would know computers.
That's true.
If you look at a lot of what lawyers do today, a lot of it has been automated.
That's true.
So any professional in the future who comes from the perspective of understanding how the code ecosystem works is a kid that has been loved. It's a parent that made a smart decision early. So it's important that we continue to leave them play, but make sure that we mix up some of the techniques and all the health and everything else that they're doing with a whole lot of things that prepares them for the revolution. And it's also an advantage, for these kids of today if parents make those smart decisions today.
Wow.
But the information is not out there, and I guess that's why I'm very passionate about it.
Now you've talked about that's very important. So what advice will you is there any way you think we should start redirecting our kids to? Is there any place where you think our parents should start taking their kids to so they can get the information that you're talking about?
Obviously parents don't need to change a lot, because you don't want to get any parent frightened. I've had a lot of parents, when I spoke about my book, the first time, and had a lot of parents reaching out. What was really coming out to me was the fact that a lot of parents felt that you needed to be a specialist in IT in order to be a good parent, and that's just not true. Think about it. Think about our parents. When I grew up, my parents didn't go to school. They worked very hard. They provided me with a very good education. But they never went to school. So they loved me enough to know what was good for me in the future, but they didn't have to understand all the stuff that I studied at school. They were just loving parents, knowing that I need to parent not just for myself as a parent and feel good that I have a kid, but I need to parent because this is a human being that has been entrusted with me, and I need to prepare them for a life after they leave my home.
Wow.
And what that means is that parents need to, first of all, make sure that they are aware. Awareness is the first thing. They are aware, and it's easy to be aware. I mean, you and I seated here talking now, and a lot of people are going to be viewing this over Facebook and other channels. Well, it's not rocket science. It is IT. So, obviously, as a parent, you got to be thinking to yourself, what are the things that I can include in my parenting today that would allow my kids, to be aligned to what's happening tomorrow, And there's a lot of information online. Just go online today and Google after-school programs, and you would see all kinds of after-school programs. But the key one for me that I keep talking about is that parents need to make sure that their kids are also doing what kids in other countries that are stepping ahead are doing. If you look at India now, coding is mandatory. Just like maths, English, because coding is a language. It's a language that if you learn a language when you are young as a kid, it becomes natural. Me, I would talk Pidgin today because we grew up with it. There was no class for Pidgin. It's just the flow, right?
True.
It's the same thing. So it's a language. So if you get your kids into those programs early now, and they as an after-school program, and they gradually grow with it, as they also go on with their careers and everything else, what you have done is that you have made a little sacrifice that goes a long way to give that kid a head start in life. That's so powerful. And that's the kind of things that parents need to be doing today. right? Closing those gaps early. I find a lot of parents complaining about screen time. I struggle with it also. I have got 3 kids, right? I struggle with it. Most parents will tell you today they're always on their iPads, they're always on their phones. It feels like it's a distraction, but actually it's not. They are responding to where the world is going to. So instead of taking them away from those, which is actually the window through which they see the world moving forward, a world in which you would not be there, or you might be there, but they have to be adults without you. You need to be thinking to yourself, how do I make sure that they are using this screen time in a more efficient and productive way? So if you get them into programs that ensures that they're still going to be on those laptops, but they might spend a little bit of time on TikTok, and every other day they have 1 hour to spend on a coding lesson, another hour to spend on something, and they will still have the fun, they will still play the games, they will even build them, but only now as a parent you are directing them towards a direction where they have fun as kids. But guess what? Tomorrow, what happens to them? They are now prepared for the world in which they would live and work.
Tell us about Icode.
Oh,
yeah, Icode Edu.
Yeah. Icode Edu is a coding academy for kids. We offer one-on-one and small group lessons, for kids from ages to 6 up to 18, and obviously that draws from the same passion that I've been talking about. I spend a lot of my career in skills development that we already talked about, and I watched how important it is to focus on competence. How that can change an entire nation, an entire economy, alleviate people from poverty, really impact families and individuals in a way that's meaningful. And I was part of that journey, especially when I worked in South Africa. That's how South Africa came out of apartheid, by being able to put in place laws that allowed people who were previously disadvantaged, that's the black people, to gradually acquire skills and prepare the next generation, and so on and so forth. And I was really part of that journey. And that brought, into my life as a beneficiary of that, a lot of joy to see that the decisions that really bring change are made by human beings, and hence Icode Edu is an extension of that, right? And Icode Edu for us has really been, it's been awesome, right? The journey so far, I must say that, has really been putting action into words, making sure that kids right from the age of 6 have an opportunity and a place where they can go to, and their parents trust that they would be matched with mentors, because we don't call our instructors, we call them mentors, right? Mentors from reputable universities. We have mentors out of Berkeley, out of MIT, you name it, And the reason for that is if a kid starts having that kind of a mentor early, right? And they start from, because our courses fall into 2 different categories. We have what we call scratch or blocks, which is right from age 6, kids are already building games and playing with them and so on and so forth. And then we have what we call mixed code, which is basically a transition stage. You've been having all of this fun. Here's what's really happening in the background, with the actual code itself. And then we have pure code, which is really the real deal. Your Java, C++, app development. We have a lot of exciting stuff, So that means a kid can join us, as a beginner, have a lot of fun, and in a couple of, come out as a professional already, just doing an after-school program. Be ready, and that's what Icode Edu is really about. And we came into this because we felt that competence, because a lot of parents need to understand what competence is. There's a difference between intelligence and competence. When you and I went to school, it was all about who be first, who be second. That doesn't really matter. Companies don't hire you for your intelligence. Companies hire you for your competence, and that's very important. That's a combination of knowledge.
I talk down for pigeon. No be about my get sense. Now about my way, if you do it, we get for do am.
Exactly. You talk about well. Talk about well. And that's why if you walk into any interview today, guess what the first question is? Tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Because they know very well that they can get the guy with the right attitude.
Yeah.
And teach them
the work.
Transform
him. Yeah.
But it is difficult to get the guy who's so intelligent and teach them the right attitude. And these days it's all about teams. We saw with COVID. It's all about remote work. You gotta have people who have initiative, who are dedicated, who are committed, who know what it means to take ownership for their work and get it done, but also do it as part of a team. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, if you look at that, competence becomes very key, because that knowledge is very important. We're not saying education is not important. No, education is extremely important, but it's a foundation. On that foundation, you got to build a house. That's skill. And skill is, can you do it? Can you code it? Can you do it? That's what companies want to know next, right? Okay, you can do it. That skill might give you another 50% or 40% of your competence. The rest of it is what? Emotional intelligence, EI. You're a team player. Do you know how to deal with difficult situations, difficult people? Are you somebody who is able to take initiative? Are you somebody who can be able to speak their mind and promote the principles of transparency? Do you buy in our vision? Does it reflect in you? What would your team members think about you? Things like those. Now, at Icode Edu, the reason why we have this program is a lot of this then catered for a kid. Because imagine your kids spending their time with that mentor out of MIT or out of Harvard, and imagine what that does to that kid. Teaching them coding and keep changing and moving up after levels, and this kid is also studying at school at the same time, and they're playing here with us, right? Now compare that kid with the kid that didn't go through this. Who is more competent?
It's obvious.
Exactly.
It's just obvious.
Yeah.
So let me divert a little bit. You mentioned something in your book. Why did you choose to write a book?
Well, like I said before, when people always ask me what do you do, I always say I'm a parent. I'm a parent before anything, right? Because like I said before, it's your duty. When you have kids, I believe, this is me humbly, I believe it's your duty, and I love my kids so much. So I started getting worried, because I was in IT, skills development, and I kind of had a bird's eye view of where the world was going to, and I was worried as another parent, like, I think there's something that we're not doing right, about how we bring up our kids, especially in terms of, we love them, they're fine, they do all the beautiful things that kids do, go to holidays, do all those nice things, and they're very happy with their life. But I keep thinking as a parent, 10 years from today, when they become adults, would they be happy with the decisions that I helped them make now when they were kids? Then I thought about my parents also, and I said to myself, my parents made hard decisions at a time where I actually felt like they were evil to me. Because I'll tell you, when I went to boarding school in Cameroon, well, my friends will tell you, I dodged nearly every other day. You know why? Because I came from a background where that was not something that was usual. Being locked up and all that. You get what I'm trying to say? But my father saw the need for that, and he understood that, that I needed, that kind of education. And he made sure that I stayed in there, even when I felt that he didn't love me. Many years later, may his soul rest in peace, one of the things that I yearn for is to have that man's hand and just say, thank you, darling.
Wow.
So sometimes love is not the things that we do momentarily so that people feel okay, give them flowers and all. Love is a choice. It's making a decision today about somebody, regardless of whether they know that it's good for them, just for the sake of it, and make sure that you stick with that choice. And hence, that pushed me a lot to be able to say, what is it that I want to be able to do for my kids? I need to go out and look for information like everybody else. So I started looking for information on how to help guide my kids, and I found out that I was not the only one. A lot of parents in a lot of forums online were having the same issues, and I heard everywhere about security of my kids online, screen time online. I had all kinds of complaints. Are they safe? I'm seizing that laptop from them. I'm seizing that iPad. Now I have this, now I have that. I've got this software that I've put into their phones, So I'm like, okay, hey, I'm not here alone. So I started doing research and started to think about what the best way that we can be able to address this, and started talking to a whole lot of other experts in the field, and seeking knowledge and seeking solutions, and all that while I was doing it because I wanted to be a better father, But at a certain point, when I got to a point where I started finding answers, I felt like this is a point where we need to engage a debate. So the book is really about engaging a debate, because I borrowed a lot from Klaus Schwab, the author of the Fourth Industrial Revolution himself, and chairman of the World Economic Forum, because that was one of the books that I read that really opened my eyes. He was really explicit about what the revolution was, and I was like, yeah, I feel you. And I felt to myself, it needed to be broken down. It needed to be broken down in such a way that the common parent can understand it, can engage with it, can understand what this revolution is, and can be able to do their own parenting without changing much in their normal lifestyle, just do the little things. And I felt like as my kids, as I struggle as a parent in order to be able to give or show love for my kid,
Kids.
other parents should also get involved in that conversation. And I think it's from that perspective that I decided to, I don't really call it a book, I decided to take on this journey just to be able to put something down that has ignited a lot of conversation, a lot of criticism, a lot of stuff, which is really what we want, right? We gotta keep talking.
That's true.
We gotta keep talking because we're all confused. We gotta keep talking about it and keep finding answers and keep engaging those who are involved in the sector because it's education. It's government, it's individual families. It's the private sector. It's so many people that are affected by this. But most importantly, at the end of the day, it's really about the kids who own the future. Who's talking about them? That's really what I wanted to do.
Now you know where I'm from, and I have my community. You know my community. What would be your direct message with regards to the books and Icode Edu to them right now?
My direct message would be the book is available, on Amazon, for the Industrial Revolution, Parenting in the Age of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Grab a copy, share, critique, reach out. But even more importantly for me, go to www.icodeedu.com, subscribe for a free trial lesson. That's what we do, and the reason why we do that is because we want parents and most especially kids, especially because when we talk about stuff like this, for us it's really about educating.
That's true.
That's why we want to talk with communities. We want to talk with people that directly have the voice of the community, and it's really about education. So subscribe there, book a free trial lesson, and one of our enrollment officers would reach out, and get a free trial lesson with your kid so that you have a first-hand experience of what the service is all about, and take it from there. But at the end of the day, whatever you do, make sure that you are preparing your kids for the future, the workplace of the future.
That is the most important. First of all, make sure you're preparing your kids for the future. Now that picking, they will take care for you, that we don't owe, and they need to understand so many things. Now, the other part of what he has said that I really like is the fact that there's a trial version. Go register. Try them first. If it's not good, you leave your reviews.
Exactly.
Get to them and let them know what you feel you didn't like or whatever, but just try them. And then I know it's gonna happen. Someone even talk. Boss, is there anything you feel like we should talk about? Maybe that you not made mention yet.
I think we've covered the scope of it. I just maybe if there's anything else that I must say, I must really thank you for being able to create this kind of avenues where we can be able to communicate, as a community, reach out to the community. But most importantly, for me is being able to constantly make sure that the criticism or the discussions that come out of this become areas where we grow. I would say that because I, as a parent also and a professional, sometimes I feel that we would be able to add much more value, not just in a host or new country, depending on where you are, but also in the lives of other people. Because I'm a big believer of giving back, right? And I absolutely believe that the time has come, not just for us to look at ourselves and our families as the only areas where there must be growth, there must be happiness, but to extend beyond that and say, how do we as a community make sure that we have support structures, in place to ensure that we are able to leverage not only our numbers, but we are also able to leverage the amount of knowledge that's amongst us, and ensure that especially first generation, second generation kids, who are struggling between transitioning into a new way of life or are already part of a way of life but would face challenges that we all are aware of, are better equipped and better prepared, and so I just want to thank you, and thank all those who do what you do. It's really amazing and awesome.
Man, I just feel like we can go on and on and on. But first of all, I'd like to know when you're coming back on Toride. Because we need to continue the conversation.
Yeah, no, obviously, if you tell me you need me back, I will be here.
I don't hear. It not come and post now Facebook straight. I don't text you, no one come. Yeah, man, we need to do this again and again. And thank you for everything you're doing for our community. I'll tell you, from the first day we met, the one thing that caught my attention was how passionate you are about our community. That's me also. It's about our community, I know I'm not doing a lot. I just want to do the little I can do to push things to another level. And I know that's the same passion you have. Thank you. Guys, I don't know what to say. I think I'll leave a link somewhere in here where you guys can just go on the website for the book, try and get the book. I think the book is for the adults, right?
Yeah, it's for adults.
Yeah, so you as a parent, you need to get the book. Read the book so you at least get that foundation on whatever he's saying. And then, but even before you finish reading the book, you should go to the website and make sure that kid, that Peking try that. I know so many Peking they don't try. I know so many Peking that already try them and they are hooked. Not because it's fun, but because for you, the parent, you're educating him towards what will benefit him to move on. And there's more to it. I will get time for today.